Absolute Bane's origin story has finally been revealed in the newest issue of Absolute Batman.
Let's break it down.
We now have a way better understanding of just how big of a threat Bruce is dealing with when it comes to Bane. I know that every single one of us already knows that he's an absolute monster because of what we've seen in the past couple issues, but what he had to go through and what he had to do to become that monster is just next level. So with that being said, if you don't remember, the last issue consisted of Bruce being broken in more ways than you could count on all your fingers, because not only was he stripped of all his clothes and then locked away in complete isolation, but every time he attempted to escape Arc M, he was forced to bear witness to the horrifying human experiments inside until Bane eventually discovered where he was hiding and beat him until he wasn't conscious, which after a while allowed the doctors to experiment on Bruce himself, leading him to such a broken and distraught state of mind that he was fully convinced that he wasn't capable of carrying forward. However, after Bane distributed all of his gear inside of his prison cell to draw him out for one last fight, Bruce finally managed to escape the facility successfully thanks to Killer Croc aiding him in battle when it seemed like all hope was lost. This issue, on the other hand, starts off with Alfred making an entry into his journal in the midst of Bane hunting down Bruce and Waylon after arriving to Gotham City. It's here that Alfred articulates feeling guilty about Bruce's current predicament, expressing that he might have had a better idea of what to expect out of Bane and Arc M if he told him about Bane's origin. After that, the story takes us right to the very beginning, where Bane was born in the midst of chaos during a war on an island called Santa Prisca. So it turns out that Bane's father was the leader of a rebel group called Cielos Libres, who had been fighting for Santa Prisca's freedom for more than 100 years. And the reason that the island was always at war was because it was rich in a bunch of rare compounds that different groups from around the world were interested in. Nevertheless, the flag that represented the group displayed Santa Prisca's national bird, the royal quetzal, and Bane's father believed in what the bird stood for so much that he would often see visions of the bird triumphantly flying free once their island was at peace. However, as the chaos of war pressed on, there was one night in particular where Bane ate a psychedelic jojoba seed in hopes of seeing the same vision that his father saw, but instead of seeing the quetzal, he described seeing a horrifying looking bird that was on fire with a skull in the middle of its back. Now, as Bane grew into an adult, he started overseeing and leading the rebels himself, and was so effective at doing so that his plans allowed them to take control of the island's capital. Unfortunately though, even though his father was sure that peace was right around the corner, soon enough they were overwhelmed by a group of foreign troops just 3 short days later. The surviving members of the Cielos Libres were then sentenced to life in a prison near Santa Prisca's coast, and the conditions were so horrible that they were forced to eat rats in order to sustain themselves, and because the tide would wash into all of the prison cells every night, Bane, along with everybody hoping to survive, was forced to learn how to sleep while hanging from cages to prevent themselves from dying in their sleep. Despite being exposed to such terrible